Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and I want to thank everyone for hopping on this episode and welcome everyone back. And also remind you definitely to like and subscribe because there are many great guests that are booked for the next few episodes. And also, I'm going to be having conversations with my special guest today more than once. And so you definitely want to be able to be a subscription person so that way you can follow along and see when our next episode drops. So for those that are not familiar with J Cooper Travels, I want to share that I started this a few years ago. I am both a certified travel consultant, which is why I love travel, but I realized that when COVID happened, we weren't traveling, and I was meeting so many wonderful people through my social media network. I wanted to share their stories. And that's what J. Cooper Travels really has evolved into. How do we travel in our inner journey as well as our outer journey? And how do we interact with our friends, our families, our coworkers? Again, we travel a path in life in so many different ways, and it's not always straight and narrow. There's a lot of twists and turns. I know personally and professionally. I'm a single mom and I'm also a lawyer, and I navigated over to special education teaching. So they do have a thread there. It's all service related. But again, sometimes you are drawn to certain areas and you take that hop and you take that jump and you never know what door is going to open next. So with that, I want to welcome my special guest because I'm so excited to share her story. She's an inspiration and she's really helping a lot of people. How are you doing today? Oh, you're muted.
I'm doing great. How are you, Jackie? So good to be here with you today.
Good. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and the business and where you're located, and then we'll get started in terms of exploring your personal story because I know it's very special and I want everyone to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, Eunicia Peret, CEO and founder of the Empowered Financial Planner, located in Atlanta, although we service clients throughout the United States, which is something quite amazing because we were very much prepared for that even before the pandemic began. So our clients were not caught off guard by that. And that was definitely a huge relief for us. But as far as what it is that we do, we focus and we specialize in helping our clients, making sure that their financial team is truly talking. Because what we found is that without our financial team truly talking and collaborating, we end up leaving money to chance. And not only are we leaving money to chance, but oftentimes we find that we leave money on the table across different environments, across different areas of our financial livelihood. And so the whole idea behind what we do is to make sure that our clients are no longer experiencing the same pitfalls and the same blind spots that historically they would have been exposed to, not because they're not well intentioned, not because their financial team doesn't want the best for them, but simply because without that true and strategic communication, that oftentimes does not happen. Once again, money is being left to chance, and we don't want that to happen.
So what I love, what you first shared, and I don't know if everyone caught it, the empowered. I love that word. How did you decide on titling your business with those words?
That's actually a great question, and it has a little bit of a story to it, so I'll try to make it short. When I first looked at building the Empowered Financial Planner, my mission was really to teach other financial planners or financial experts those same insights that I found that have helped me or had helped me grow my business in a very, very short time frame, scale it very strategically. And it was actually one of my business mentors that said, Eunicia, doing what you do, you don't need to teach individuals that perhaps are not always looking out for the client's best interest how to do what you did. You need to get out there and you need to actually figure out a way to help more clients. And so we kept the name. And we do, everybody loves the word empowered because that's actually truly what we stand behind. And we'll tell our clients that to us, it doesn't matter how much money they make or they bring in. What really matters is their ability and their desire to really think outside of the box. If individuals don't think outside of the box, they could be making 3 million, 4 million, 10 million, $200,000 per year, and it wouldn't make a difference. And so the word empowered really is very strategic in our name.
I love the idea also of thinking out of the box because my whole life I feel like I've been thinking out of the box and out of the box, but that's okay. It's part of being a creative entrepreneur. So, how did you come to start this? Because I know your journey also has many facets to it. So, where did you start?
I really started in strategy consulting. I had been in strategy consulting ever since I graduated from university, and I loved it. The reason I loved it is because I got to work with high-powered individuals, Fortune 500 primarily, individuals and companies that just about everybody recognizes. If I was to just utter some of those names, everybody would know who I'm talking about. And what enticed me about that career was that I was solving big problems that have no textbook. There's no reference point where you can go and you can say, okay, this is the symptom and this is the result. It was really, the whole idea was understanding what the problems were, trying to figure out the root causes, and then designing an approach, and in most cases implementing that approach and that design with in collaboration with the client. Foreshadowing a few years later, which was now a few years back for us, we started looking at our financial platform, and it was one of those points in our life where, with my husband, we sat down and we said we had some stuff coming up. We had some financial vehicles that we needed to make some decisions on. And what we found out was that everybody was trying to sell us. Now, this is on the heels of having worked with several experts in the past, that it just felt like every time the question was, how much did we have in assets under management or investable assets? They seem to always want to know that question. And so it was, as a young corporate individual trying to establish yourself in the business world, you don't always come up with the hundreds of thousands of dollars from the get-go. And so it was always a turning off point. But the reason it was an even bigger turn off point is the fact that we were invested in real estate. We loved real estate and tangible assets and different asset classes that the financial services industry was frowning upon. Why? Because they couldn't invest that money. And so when it came time for us to make some tough decisions and to really understand what was happening, nobody could really articulate the issues that we were facing, and nobody could really sit down to put together a game plan that made us feel comfortable. And the reason for that is because as I was a strategy consultant, I ask a lot of questions. And so the more questions I ask, the more we uncover that there are pitfalls and blind spots, etc. And so we identified a lot of blind spots, even just as part of what was happening with us. And I started really geeking out on some of the same blind spots that I was seeing, not just with me, but my husband, always having been on the services side himself. He had visibility to what people were dealing with from a money and wealth management perspective, etc. And so I started putting the two and two together, and long and behold, everything that I do now took me right back to my strategy consulting days, where we truly get to solve problems with our clients, oftentimes without a textbook.
So, what I love about what I'm hearing is you have you had developed many skills, and you were looking at your own personal areas of need, and then you realized that you could then take that the skill set that you had already developed and the needs that you were learning about, and then help others with it. And I think that that's really a takeaway for those that might be listening, is that you might have a skill set that you're not actually thinking that you have, but you could actually help others with it and start a side business or a project that also empowers you. So that's, again, what you did is, I think, remarkable, and also, encouraging to other people to take a step forward and try something new. Now, obviously, you did research. You did a lot of research. Like you said, you geeked out, and you didn't step out without having that research behind you, because you also knew, as a strategy consultant, you were going to be advising and talking to other people. So you had to have that solid knowledge base. So who are your current clients, or who do you look at trying to help now? What's the niche that you're looking for? to help?
That's a great question in itself, because when I first started working with individuals one-on-one, and when I say one-on-one, I'm making a differentiation between in my corporate life and in what we do now. At that point in time, I told everybody that literally everybody could and should want to become empowered when it comes to understanding how money works and how wealth is created and all of that. But the reality is that, again, going back to the mindset, if the mindset isn't there, if there has to be some financial power in order for people to feel like they're doing something for themselves as well, if those couple of components aren't there, folks just really aren't ready to think outside of that box, or outside of the box, right? And so the over the years, what we've started doing is we started identifying that a lot of our client base really resides at the C-suite level. So CXOs within companies, successful business owners, doctors, some attorneys, pilots, pharmacists, dentists, individuals that are high income earners but are feeling the pressure of taxes, are feeling the pressure of they don't have the time to geek out like I geeked out, or like we're geeking out to figure out what are the different loopholes. How do we take back control of our money? How do we make this like really push our wealth forward in a way that is servicing to them, not working against them from a time perspective. So those are some of the folks that we are currently servicing and clients that we work with. And we're just blessed to be working with some amazing individuals that truly have taken their financial future to the next level.
So, where are you located?
We are located in Atlanta, although we work with clients nationwide. We have clients everywhere from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, and everywhere else in between.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that. Why don't you go ahead and, because I don't think we've done it yet, how do people contact you?
Very easy. They can go to www.empoweredfinancialplanner.com, and you can stop there, or you can put a forward slash pitfalls. I would strongly encourage our listeners to go in and get the pitfalls. It's a very short, quick white paper, very fast read that doesn't focus on numbers, but it really focuses on those kind of mental shifts and things that we have to come to grasp with and come to reality with if we want for our wealth to truly soar to the next level. So empoweredfinancialplanner.com/pitfalls.
So, I know that on the J Cooper Travels talk show, I always have about midway through one tip and one place conversation. What's the takeaway tip that you would like people to be thinking about, as they're kind of reflecting on their own financial planning or what they need to do?
One tip, and it kind of goes back to your prior question about who do we currently work with, that I would tell individuals is if you're serious about your money, you need to understand that it takes money to make money. And the reason I say that is because we do come across individuals that historically have been so conservative. They're being literally burnt up by too much money that they're paying in taxes, too much money that they're paying in fees, and all sorts of different transactional gimmicks really that are hidden in their accounts that they don't even really realize are there, but they're always looking for the free. Those, of course, are not our clients because we work in that consulting area with our clients from that standpoint. But whether they work with us or they work with somebody else, please make sure that you understand that if you are at that point where you want your wealth to grow, it does take money to make money, because otherwise what you get for quote unquote free around the corner or at the next intersection is probably going to be eating up tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in accumulation over time.
And the other thing I would add to that is, I am a lawyer, I'm educated, and I'm also a teacher. But when I started my teaching profession, I had some individuals come to me and say, well, you should do this and you should do that. And I did not take the time to investigate it myself. I just thought, okay, they should know. And so I went with that. And that's something that I don't have any regrets because that was my mistake. But I've since learned you do need to control your own financial destiny. You do have to be maybe not as knowledgeable as your financial planner or the other consultant, but get up to speed on some of the terminology, ask those questions so that way you can have a knowledge base of what it is that they are saying. And like you said, there are fees. Sometimes you don't realize that, how often the fees come or why the fees are there. And it's important to ask. It's important just to know. So to ask, when are taxes taken out? If you move that money when you're older, like I recently did, and then I realized I thought that I would have a lower tax bracket, and I got taxed on it, which is fine because now I know, since I'm a business owner, I might have write-offs that I'll be able to write off against it. However, when I created that option way back when, I didn't ask the question of what about the taxes? So you just have to kind of start from square one and be involved in the process, because this will impact you at every age of your path.
100%. And Jacqui, that's actually what I tell clients all the time. And it kind of goes back to the mindset, although I hate to put everything in a mindset bucket. But I tell clients, ask questions. There is no such thing as a stupid question unless
Right.
you don't ask it. And that's the reason we designed the coaching, the consulting. This is what I'm going to ask you to cut. That's the reason we designed the consulting program the way that we designed it. It's really to make sure that our clients are able to not only grasp the information that if they were to go out on Google, they're going to end up on rabbit holes, guaranteed, because that's what happens. But information that then enables them to ask strategic questions, and guaranteed those questions, even though they might think they're silly questions, if they're in their mind, they're in the minds of so many other people. And if they don't get asked in a safe environment, then again, they end up costing us money. So we want to make sure, I love the fact that you brought up the questions. Ask questions, ask them frequently, and ask them when they come up. Don't just let them fester or kind of go in the background, because they do not do you any service.
And if you're not sure what questions to ask, you can ask your advisor, what are the frequently asked questions that your other clients are asking? Because sometimes we don't know what to ask. And until we're put in a situation, we are not aware that we should have asked that question. So sometimes you can give an open-ended question to your advisor and see how they respond, and that might help educate you with other questions. You're located, I'm going to flip over to the other side right now, even though we're going to keep talking right after. The place. I love to travel, and I'm glad that travel is opening up again. I know in June I'll be going to Dubai, and in April I'm going to Miami. So where would you like people to explore and discover when they're traveling again? Where you've been a lot of places. So what place did you think maybe might be a good discovery?
My two happiest places on earth are the North Georgia mountains
Ah,
and St. John.
okay.
So if you ask me what's your one like most desirable tropical location, I would tell you St. John, hands down, any day of the week. If it was mountains, it would be the North Georgia mountains. We go there frequently. We love it. Just the scenery, just being able to be in nature. And for those individuals that know me from my younger years, will tell you that I was not. If anybody said let's go camping as an example, I would say okay, I will come visit you during the day and I'll find the nearest Marriott, or at that time it was Westin, right before they merged. That was my definition of camping, is during the day when there are no mosquitoes. Now we don't camp in the traditional fashion. We actually do stay in style, but I would not shy away from camping and just having fun in the nature. So that's those are my two happy places on earth.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I'm like you. I'm not really a camper per se. And when I traveled with my daughter actually over to Tanzania, I made sure we did the quote unquote glam camping type of thing. So that way we had a tents with, beds and, facilities. And it was, I wanted to be able to enjoy it, but to also have some luxury. So
Couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we could rough it if need be, but it's always nice to have a little luxury.
I've done that as a child. I just decided as an adult I could choose otherwise. So I do want, we're talking about finances, and I think that it's really important for everyone who's listening to think about who's on your team, because just like you have a doctor and you have a dentist, for your health team, and you could have more than one depending upon, what advice you want to get. It's important to have a financial consultant on your team. And for me, because of my law background, I would also say it's important to have at least one attorney that you can afford on your team. And as an attorney, when I first started out, one of the things that really I struggled with was the idea of the billable hours, because I wanted to be able to focus on the project and helping whoever I was working with. So, now I have kind of navigated back to the law side, and I've become associated with prepaid legal, or some of you might know it as Legal Shield. And the QR code behind my shoulder is associated with that, but I will also have the link below. If you don't have a lawyer that you can call on, Legal Shield is a flat rate. You can have unlimited access to a lawyer that can review your contracts, that will help you get a will, that will help you with an estate plan. And that was one reason why I wanted to become associated with them, because I was meeting people all over the country in doing this show who did not have the proper background paper, for their family. And that, as a mom, that bothered me, because I think everyone needs to have an updated will. Everyone needs to have that. You never know what's going to happen. And I know as a financial planner and consultant, I think you would agree, because you have to think about the now and the future. So, are there any thoughts that you have about that in terms of just estate planning and how, or, just taking that into consideration?
100%. And when it comes to thinking about the now and the future, you couldn't be more right. And unfortunately, too many people are just thinking about either now or the future and never about the two of them together. Here's what I will tell you, Jacqui, looking back at just kind of looking at the entire financial services industry.
Yep.
You've got everything from the financial advisor / financial planner / life insurance person / property and casualty insurance / so many different things that fall under that umbrella, including
True.
the CPA, including the tax person, including the bookkeeper. And people will say, well, my CPA is helping me with my financials. Okay, really? Let's decipher that. My financial planner understands it all. Really? Let's decipher that. And oftentimes people forget. I love the fact that you mentioned having that financial consultant on your team. Here's the reality. Not everyone, a financial consultant isn't meant for everyone. If you're not at the point where you make enough money to where you can strategically minimize your taxes, and I mean by legally, things that you might have had a CPA for 20 years, but you don't know that these things exist because they're in the tax code.
Yes.
You're not going to know about them.
Yes.
You might be working with the team on your investments, but those investments, the same way that you're investing, may potentially be hindering you on the tax side. So when we're talking about enough money, and I'm not talking about necessarily money that people have set aside for retirement already, although that can be important, but individuals that are making $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, they have to have someone, almost like the way that I call it, quarterbacking on their behalf.
That's
so
right.
Then it takes us back to the question of who should be on your financial team. The reality is it's going to be dependent. In some cases, there are going to be more individuals that need to be at that financial table with you or for you and on your behalf. But at a minimum, it should be your CPA and or your bookkeeper. If not CPA and bookkeeper, at a minimum, your tax person. It should be your financial expert, financial advisor, financial whatever you call this person, the person that is helping you understand what are your options for investing your money. It should definitely be the attorney. And to your point, at a minimum, an attorney that understands kind of the family side and maybe a small business attorney so that they can keep you out of trouble. I just got off the phone with someone earlier today, just a couple of hours ago, and she said, Eunicia, the reason I went MIA is because of this. Her business got in some financial and business trouble, and it was a big rigmarole. And she's got a team of attorneys now attacking it because the issue had happened once again the year prior, but nobody really took notice to that. And so at a minimum, those three, of course, for business owners, if they have a 401k or they have a defined benefits plan, we're dealing with TPAs and other types of individuals, those need to be at the table. But what about for the individuals that are high income earners? What about other types of access to other types of strategic partners, such as individuals that can help you with other types of investments outside of what you're doing with your 401k and retirement planning? Who's helping you with those? That's where a good financial consultant, part of what we do, that's where it all comes to bear, is bringing those individuals together. So the client who's busy doing what they do best, helping and serving their clients in the matter that they do best, doesn't have to geek out on so many other things that for us, we bring them together as part of working together, working collaboratively. But whether with us or with somebody else, if that team, as small as it may be, is not talking and getting together at the same table to speak on your behalf and not to just do things for you because you end up paying them whatever fees they charge you, if they don't get together and they don't speak on your behalf, chances are pretty strong and pretty high that you are leaving money on the table.
I agree with you. And I think with that, I'm going to ask you, what are any last minute thoughts that you want to have the listeners think about? I know you and I are going to have more than one conversation, but we've covered so much. What last minute thoughts would you like them to take away?
I would say the one last minute thought that I would love for them to take away is start looking at where you are financially. Start taking an inventory of your accounts and start thinking about how much, for example, you can either take it from a tax perspective or you can take it from the standpoint of how much control you have over that money. You can, depending on which is more painful to you, start making a list of those accounts. And for those of you that are checking out that pitfalls, do me a favor, just drop in and let us know that you heard about it on JCooperTravels podcast, and reach out to us. We'll reach out to you, reach out to us. We'd love to know what is it that you're finding as part of that high level analysis. And then we can potentially dive deeper to figure out if you might have some opportunities for optimization with your wealth creation efforts.
Yeah, I would definitely say everyone go to the links that I'll have, embedded below, so that way you can check out all of the resources that we're sharing today with you. Because again, a little bit of time every day to do your financial personal inventory makes it a lot easier than down the road when you are hitting a wall and realizing you haven't put things in place. And as individuals who are entrepreneurs who are listening to this, you know that we have a lot on our plates. But even if you just say, okay, I'm taking 10 minutes every day to do a little bit, then at the end of 30 days, when you look back, you'll have accomplished your goal and you'll have that inventory. So it doesn't have to be that you have to take off an entire hour or 3 hours because it is overwhelming when you think about it. Just do a little bit every day. Just have a notepad, do your brain drop, and then, do that summary at the end of the month, because this is really critical, and I had to do that. I created a financial box for my daughter. Again, we think we're organized, and then when we start to kind of get into it, we realize, well, we're organized in our disorganization.
Life becomes complicated, right? And we don't realize, but before you know it, I actually reached that inflection point a few years back. I was like, oh my God, I need a way to keep track of my passwords, because I couldn't keep everything in my tiny little box up here. So it's the same thing with financials or anything else. Yes, our situations do become a lot more complex over time.
But you bring up a good point. We have passwords, we have online accounts, we have a lot of things that we keep in our heads or in notebooks or on our business desktops. If your advisors don't know how to access that, then in an emergency, again, this is going back to the will and the estate planning side, in an emergency, they're going to struggle. So doing this inventory and organization is going to help you know where you are outputting your money. At the same time, it's going to help your family and those that are going to inherit your business or any of your other projects, so they know what it is. And like you said, things aren't left on the table. Money's not left on the table because you can't access it. So with that, I know we're going to have more than one episode. So again, everyone, definitely remember my mantra: be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all connected. This is one world. And we haven't even gotten into talking about your personal history and where you come from. We're going to do that on a different show. That's a whole nother special story that I would love to tell. So again, everyone, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.